A 9-year-old boy cleaned the toilets of 100 students with his own hands every morning just to pay his school fees. He was insulted by other kids at school. He even risked his life crossing a bridge. Later, he moved to America, far away from his parents, to continue his education. But no one knew that one day, he would build the world's #1 GPU company, a company that would even move ahead of giants like Google, Microsoft, and Apple. But there was also a time when the company had only 30 days left before it was about to shut down. This is the story of Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang. Jensen Huang was born on February 17, 1963, in Taipei, Taiwan. He lived there with his parents and his older brother. Later, his father got a job in Thailand, so the whole family moved there in 1968. Jensen studied there for 4 years, but in 1973, a war suddenly broke out in a neighboring country, the Vietnam War. The war reached Thailand's border, so to give Jensen Huang a safe future and a better education, his parents sent him to America, but that turned out to be the biggest mistake of their lives. Now, Jensen Huang was about to face the hardest days of his life. Jensen's uncle lived in America. He was very poor. He didn't have enough money to provide food or a proper place to live. So, he left Jensen Huang at a hostel called the Oneida Boys Dormitory. That turned out to be a huge mistake because it was a hostel for troubled boys. His school was about half a kilometer away from the hostel. To cover the cost of the hostel and his school, every day he cleaned the bathrooms and toilets used by more than 100 people with his own hands. Then he walked half a kilometer to school every single day, but there was a bridge on the way, and every time Jensen Huang walked across that bridge, some bullies would shake the bridge as hard as they could, trying to make Jensen Huang fall. Many times, he almost fell off the bridge, but Jensen Huang stayed brave and crossed the bridge every time. 6 years later, Jensen Huang finished school. At the age of 16, he got admitted to a college called Oregon University. To pay for his college tuition, Jensen Huang worked as a dishwasher at a nearby restaurant. There were only 3 girls among 250 students in his college, and one of them was Lori. Every week, Jensen went to Lori's house, using homework as an excuse. Before college ended, Jensen made a promise to Lori. 10 years from today, when I become the CEO of a company, I'll come back and marry you. After saying that, in 1984, Jensen Huang left college. After graduating, he worked at AMD for 1 year, where he learned microprocessor design. Then, he left AMD and became a director at LSI Logic. Jensen Huang was earning a very good salary, but one day, everything changed. In 1992, while Jensen Huang was still working at his job, 2 men came to meet him, Chris Malachowski and Curtis Preem. They were businessmen and also Jensen's old friends. They said, "Jensen Huang, leave this job. We're starting a new company, and we want you to become its CEO." Jensen Huang was shocked. At first, he said no, but later, he accepted the offer. Back then, computers had only a CPU. Most people used computers for typing, but whenever someone played a game on a computer, the CPU struggled to handle it. So, the 3 of them came up with an idea. If we build the most powerful chip for gaming, the revenue we earn will help us invest in big research. And one day, that research could change the future of the entire tech industry. And with that, in 1993, Nvidia started in a small office. Then, he and his team worked day and night for 2 full years. They kept working on coding and chip architecture. They had very little software support and not enough money, but they never gave up. In 1995, they launched their first chip, the NV1. It was an all-in-one chip. At that time, it was very powerful. Back then, building a chip with 1 million transistors was a huge achievement. But even after being so powerful, the chip failed badly. Nvidia was almost on the edge of shutting down. Nvidia released 250,000 units of the NV1 chip into the market. Then, Microsoft made an announcement. Microsoft made a major announcement. Any chips designed for rendering with quadrilateral shapes would no longer be supported. From now on, all rendering would use triangles. That announcement broke Nvidia's entire ecosystem. Nvidia had shipped 250,000 NV1 units to the market. Out of those, 249,000 graphics cards were sent back to Nvidia. The company lost millions of dollars. Almost all of its cash disappeared, like water. Nvidia's bank account was almost empty. The company had only 30 days of money left. If Nvidia couldn't do something within those 30 days, the company would be declared bankrupt. But whenever Jensen Huang faced the biggest challenge of his life, he always made his biggest move. Jensen Huang immediately caught a flight from America to Tokyo, Japan. As soon as he arrived, he went to meet Sega. At that time, Sega was building a new and powerful home video game console to compete with Sony's PlayStation. They were looking for a high-performance graphics processor. Jensen Huang saw this opportunity and contacted Sega's top executives in Tokyo. Jensen Huang went straight to Sega's headquarters. He sat down with Sega's CEO, Hayao Nakayama, and the company's top executives. He told them the whole story. Then, he asked for a $5 million investment. After seeing Jensen Huang's passion and determination, Sega decided to support Nvidia. That investment gave the company a second chance. Jensen Huang used the $5 million to keep building the company, to save as much money as possible. They used as little electricity as they could in the office. They also laid off 70% of their employees. Then, Jensen Huang and the remaining team worked day and night. They hardly even went home, and the result was, in 1997, Nvidia launched the Riva 128 chip, and the moment it hit the market, everything changed. The Riva 128 sold so well that more than 1 million units were sold in just 4 months. In those 4 months, Nvidia made $150 million. It was the biggest success in the company's history. This was the same company that, not long before, didn't even have enough money to survive for 1 month. Now, Nvidia had $150 million. But Jensen Huang didn't spend that money on a comfortable life. Instead, he invested every dollar back into the company. He kept working harder. Then, in 1999, Nvidia launched its first GPU, the GeForce 256. It was so powerful that it could process more than 10 million triangles every second. After that, neither Nvidia nor Jensen Huang ever gave up. They kept working hard, and almost every 6 months, Nvidia launched something new. In 2001, Nvidia built the XGPU chip for Xbox. In 2006, the company introduced CUDA. Then, in 2018, Nvidia launched the GeForce RTX series. After that, Nvidia never looked back. That's why people say, never stop until your dream comes true. No matter how hard the journey gets, don't give up. If you have strong determination and the courage to never quit, you can change the course of history. Now you've seen the story of Nvidia, but you haven't watched the story of Nike yet. Click here, and I'll see you in the next video.